Good evening, councillors, guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great privilege to welcome everyone to this virtual mayor-making. My name is Councillor Patrick Cunningham, Mayor of Winchester and Chairperson of Council. There are a few housekeeping issues to run through this evening. Can I ask that everyone present in this virtual meeting please mute your microphone and that your camera is turned off whilst you are not addressing the council. This will reduce the background noise and avoid any unintentional disturbances. This is especially important with your microphone, with so many attendees online at one time. Your microphone should only be unmuted when you are formally addressing the meeting. Can I also ask that all members and guests ensure that any of their personal devices are muted so that they do not interrupt the meeting? And thank you for that. Can I advise that this meeting is being audio recorded and live streamed from the website and then can be found next to the meeting's details where the recording will remain thereafter. The meeting will also be recorded with the video uploaded to the Council's YouTube channel after the meeting. Can I now ask the Democratic Services Officer to undertake a roll call of members of the Council to confirm who is present this evening?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members. I'll just run through the names in alphabetical order. Can I just ask you just to confirm you are able to see and hear? Thank you. Councillor Atchwell.
Present.
Councillor Becker.
Present.
Councillor Bento.
Present.
Councillor Bronk.
I'm present.
Councillor Brooke.
Yes, I'm present.
Councillor Clear.
Present.
Councillor Clementson.
Present.
Councillor Cook.
Present.
Councillor Cremoisen.
Present.
Councillor Crask.
Present.
Councillor Cunningham.
Present.
Councillor Cutler.
Present.
Councillor Edwards. I'll come back to Councillor Edwards. Councillor Evans.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Fern. Councillor Fern. I'll return to Councillor Fern at the end. Councillor Ferguson.
Good evening, present.
Thank you. Councillor Gemmell. Councillor Gemmell. Return to Councillor Gemmell at the end. Councillor Godfrey.
Present.
Councillor Gordon-Smith.
Present.
Councillor Green.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Horrell.
Good evening. Present.
Councillor Isaacs.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Kern.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Laming.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Learning.
Good evening. Present.
Councillor Lumby.
Good evening, present.
Councillor McLean.
Good evening, Mr.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Present. Good evening.
Councillor Murphy.
Good evening, I'm present.
Councillor Pearson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm present.
Councillor Power.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Prince. Councillor Prince. I'll return to Councillor Prince at the end. Councillor Radcliffe.
Yes, good evening, present.
Thank you very much. Councillor Reid.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Ruffell.
Present.
Councillor Rutter.
Good evening. I'm present.
Councillor Scott.
Present, thanks.
Councillor Thompson.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Tippett Cooper.
Good evening, present.
Thank you very much. Councillor Todd.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Warwick.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Weir.
Present.
Councillor Weston.
Good evening, present.
Councillor Westwood.
Present.
Councillor Williams.
Present.
Thank you. Mr Mayor, I'll just return to a few names. Councillor Edwards.
Good evening. Present.
Thank you. Councillor Fern. Councillor Fern. Councillor Gemmell. Okay. Councillor Prince. Councillor Prince. Mr Mayor, that completes my roll call of members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Chief Executive, can I confirm if there are any apologies?
Indeed, Mr Mayor, we have apologies from Councillor Godfrey. But Mr Mayor, if you may indulge me, if I may just say a few words of welcome for the room. This evening of mayor making is the most special day in our calendar. It is the evening where we celebrate the mayoral year of Councillor Patrick Cunningham and pass the mayoral honour to Councillor Vivian Atchwell. Once again, for the second year, this evening we will hold this meeting virtually, but it makes it no less special and we are pleased that you can join us. This evening we are here in the Walton Suites in the city offices in Winchester at the Guildhall. We are holding this meeting under COVID secure measures, but we're very pleased to welcome in the room this evening friends and family of Councillor Cunningham and Councillor Atchwell. And with the benefit of Teams, we have numerous guests who are joining us online. So welcome everyone to this evening. Mr Mayor, to you for agenda item 2.
Thank you. Members, with regard to the county councillors present this evening, I do not believe that there was any declarations to be made, as our business this evening is to appoint the mayor and the deputy mayor. Please can I check though if there are any disclosures of interest to be made regarding the business before us tonight. Moving on to the main business then before us this evening. Agenda item number 3. To propose from amongst the members of the council a person to be mayor of the city of Winchester for the ensuing year. Please can I now call upon the proposer of the mayor, Councillor Teresa Evans. Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, fellow councillors, honoured guests, it's a great pleasure for me to propose that Councillor Vivian Atchwell be the next Mayor of Winchester. I'm going to take you on a quick presentation through Vivian's life and her journey up to becoming Deputy Mayor. The presentation slides will be put up on the screen by Matthew Watson, and my thanks to him for his work. Should my link fail, which unfortunately it did twice this morning when we were rehearsing the slides, please don't give up on me because I've found a way of getting back in. But it doesn't normally happen, so I was very disappointed to see that. First slide, please. Vivian was born to parents, Ernest and Margaret, in Hemel Hempstead. Next slide. Where she lived with her elder brother, Ernest, who is here tonight. Next slide. Vivian, or Viv, as her friends call her, went to school in Hemel Hempstead until she was 16. Then her parents bought their own house in Newcastle, and Viv started work at Thomas de la Rue, starting as a Girl Friday and ending up being promoted to a secretary. Next slide. Sudhakar, her now husband, and Vivian met at the university in Newcastle. Next slide. And in 1980, they got married. Next slide. Amy, their daughter, came along later, and I'm pleased to say that Amy is here tonight with her husband, Callum. Sudhakar has family in India, and Vivian's family is here. The recent COVID crisis in India has been a great worry, and we are delighted that Viv's sister-in-law, Rohini, is now out of intensive care. Next slide. Vivian is used to the life between two cultures, although Vivian and Sudhaka's home is here in Whiteley. After their marriage, Vivian and Sudhaka spent 8 years in Saudi Arabia, where Viv helped teaching drama to children, and then another 8 years in Bombay, now Mumbai, before returning back to England in 1997. Next slide. They now live in Whiteley, and Viv worked as a classroom assistant in Whiteley Primary School. Here she is teaching children about Diwali, which is an Indian festival. Viv is never idle for long. Next slide. A vacancy came up at the school for a lollipop lady, and Viv typically filled in for 3 years. In 2003, she was elected to Whiteley Town Council, where she always tops the polls at elections. Next slide. And she, of course, immersed herself in local issues. Here she's receiving a speed watch certificate with Councillor Bentote. And here, next slide, she is protesting about a traffic issue. Next slide. She even got hold of the Olympic torch. In 2008, she was elected as councillor on Winchester City Council for Whiteley Ward, now Whiteley and Shedfield. And in 2020, next slide, was elected to be deputy mayor. What kind of mayor will Vivian be? She is the most kind-hearted and thoughtful person. If there is something which needs action, Viv will take it on. With Viv, what you see is what you get. Next slide. She has no need to blow her own trumpet, as she is here in the front row. She is an unassuming, positive person, unfazed by obstacles, with an enthusiastic, pragmatic approach to life, accompanied always by that ready smile and chuckle. Next slide. If she needs help, which I doubt, she has a band of superheroes ready on hand. Next slide. She will be the first mayor of Winchester from Whiteley. She is a great community person and has much local authority expertise. That's the end of the presentation, Matthew. So, Mr. Mayor, I should like to propose that Councillor Vivian Atchwell be elected Mayor of Winchester for the forthcoming municipal year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Please may I now call upon the seconder of the Mayor, Councillor Linda Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, councillors, distinguished guests. It is with great pleasure that I second the proposal that Councillor Atchwell be the next Mayor of Winchester. Lots of us know Vivian very well, but now's the time for us all to get to know her husband, Sudhakar, who will be our consort. Could I have my first photo, please? Thank you. Sudhakar was born in Malegaon, and when he was 5, moved to Nashik. Both are in the Indian state of Maharashtra. He is the eldest of 5 children and comes from a farming family. He won a national scholarship while at high school and was the first in his family to go to university. Sudhakar graduated as a chemical engineer from Bombay University. He was then offered a scholarship to Salford University in 1973 and there obtained his PhD in chemical engineering. He met Vivian 2 years later and they married in 1980 whilst he worked as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Newcastle upon Tyne. 3 months after they married, Sudhakar and Vivian moved to India, in fact back to his childhood hometown of Nashik. Vivian met Sudhakar's family for the first time and lived with them for 8 months. Sudhakar then took up a job offer in Saudi Arabia, where he taught chemical engineering and led research teams at the University of Petroleum and Minerals. Sudhakar is a chartered engineer and fellow of the Institution of Chemical Engineers. He has worked with international companies like Davy Powergas, John Brown, Gouverneur, Foster Wheeler, and Jacobs. Next photo, please. As part of his career, Sudhakar has had the opportunity to travel and work in different parts of the world and experience various cultures at first hand. After his retirement a couple of years ago, Sudhakar continues to support a number of voluntary organisations, including the Fishermen's Mission, the Royal Voluntary Service, and Communicare, just to name a few. Next photo, please. Sudhakar loves playing squash and racquetball. He's a keen jogger and has completed a number of long-distance walks, including the Pennine Way and the South Downs Way. He used to windsurf and now dabbles in dinghy sailing, weather permitting. He's an excellent cook, specialising in Indian cuisine. Next photo, please. He is also, as you can see, a very keen gardener, but I do hope he realises he won't have very much spare time this year. Next photo, please. Sudhakar is a lovely, kind, generous man who adores his family and supports his local community, and I know he'll make an excellent consort to our mayor. I therefore second the proposal that Councillor Vivian Atchwell be elected the Mayor of Winchester for the forthcoming municipal year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy.
Before we proceed, members, I'd actually like to invite you to turn your microphones and your cameras on, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Cameras and microphones on. Please can I now put the motion that Councillor Atchwell be elected member of the City of Winchester for the period commencing on the 18th of May 2021. Members, is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, honoured guests, we will adjourn the meeting to enable Councillor Atchwell to take the chair. During this adjournment, Councillor Atchwell has had a very special song recorded, especially by the Year 6 pupils of Whiteley Primary School, and we'll play that for the entertainment of guests and members this evening. Thank you. Welcome back to Winchester City Council Mayor Making, a celebration of our wonderful heritage of mayors across our district. And I hope that everyone enjoyed that amazing musical interlude by the Year 6 students of Whiteley Primary School. I would now ask that Councillor Atchwell take her declaration of office.
I, Vivian Atchwell, have been elected to the office of Mayor of the City of Winchester, hereby declare that I will take the said office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties thereof to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members, please note that this decision will be ratified tomorrow evening, and Madam Mayor will then sign her declaration of acceptance of office with me at that meeting.
Well, she's actually not the mayor.
And before we proceed, members, thank you. If you could just turn off your microphones for me. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Please can I now put the motion to the meeting?
Madam Mayor, I think it's time for your speech.
Is it? Oh,
no, we have a pre-recorded speech for you, don't we, Madam Mayor? There's plenty of time for speeches another day. So, please, Matthew, may we share Councillor Atchwell's pre-recorded speech on her acceptance of office.
Dear colleagues, I'm absolutely delighted and honoured to be the first Whiteley resident to be nominated as the 822nd Mayor of Winchester. I know it's been a difficult time for many residents throughout the last 12 months, and I truly hope we will start to see some form of normality shortly. I also hope that this will mean I will be able to get out into the communities to experience firsthand the amazing efforts that everyone has gone to this year to provide support to each other and local organisations and businesses. This is something I know Patrick Cunningham was very keen to do during his tenure as Mayor, but unfortunately only had limited times between lockdowns to do this. Patrick, I do feel for the year you've had, but hope you managed to enjoy the experiences you did have. Raising money for charity is also very important to me. The main theme of my charities is to raise some funds to help families, children and young people who have mental health issues. My first charity is Friends of the Family, founded in 1993. Through their unique service, they aim to give friendly support and guidance to help families overcome challenges they face and focus on building a healthy family life for the future. My next charity is Winchester Youth Counselling. Since 2003, this charity has helped support over 2,000 young people in the Winchester district. The charity offers confidential support to young people and makes a positive difference to their lives. Last but not least, my third charity is AIDS Foundation. Based in Whiteley, AIDS Foundation was founded in 2017 and are committed to making a real difference to people's lives in the Winchester district through financial grants to local small charities and individuals relating to health, poverty and education needs. I hope you'll find an opportunity to support the charities I have chosen, and I look forward to seeing you at some of the events that are being organised throughout my mayoral year. Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is now customary to offer a vote of thanks to the outgoing Mayor.
Agenda item number 4, to move a vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor. For this agenda item, I now call upon Councillor Stephen Godfrey, the proposer of the vote of thanks to the retiring Mayor, Councillor Patrick Cunningham. Councillor Godfrey, are you present this evening? I believe Councillor Godfrey is unable to be present this evening in the virtual meeting, but has recorded his message.
Madam Mayor, distinguished guests, fellow councillors, I take great pleasure and pride in proposing this vote of thanks. As befits the former capital of England, the Mayor of Winchester, the second most senior mayoralty in the country, normally attends all the most important events throughout the year, attended by large groups of cheerful people coming together to celebrate or to greet important visitors, or mark the opening of a new business or public amenity. In this very different year, most of the events that the Mayor normally attends have been cancelled. There have been few public gatherings, and few, if any, dignitaries have visited the city. But while we have all been required to keep our heads down, hiding behind the virtual walls of Winchester, our Mayor has made himself available to speak to and be seen by anyone who needed his presence. He has still given many hundreds of speeches, both prepared and spontaneous, just that most of these have been delivered by Zoom or Teams. He has mastered the autocue and, like some latter-day Big Brother monitoring his audience from a telescreen, he has addressed them, putting them at their ease rather than terrifying them, I hope. When allowed to visit in person during last summer, Patrick has made everyone he met feel special, even when they were holding up the scarecrows in a village competition. And he had the honour to attend a passing out parade to mark the end of initial training at Sir John Moore Barracks on a very hot day, when several soldiers passed out more than once. As Mayor of Winchester, Patrick Cunningham has arranged for the whole of Winchester to say thank you to all those local heroes that gave so much to their communities during the pandemic, by selecting just 120 of them to be publicly acknowledged. Patrick has been able to represent Winchester and all its people with eloquence and compassion, while speaking into a camera from an empty cathedral or a vacant office. The Mayor of Winchester is not a person but an institution that has an important role to play in bringing out all that is wonderful about our city, by being the first citizen, by being present, albeit virtually, to endorse and address the good and the great. Patrick, you have performed your duties with determination, dignity, and with a joyous spirit. I am privileged to address this council and to propose a vote of thanks to Councillor Patrick Cunningham for the great service that he has given as Mayor of the City of Winchester over this last year.
Please now I call upon the seconder of the vote of thanks, Councillor Caroline Hall.
Madam Mayor, councillors, distinguished guests, and those viewing and listening online, good evening. And thank you for the opportunity to propose the vote of thanks for our Mayoress, Mrs. Joy Cunningham. Joy, as a group, we were so incredibly proud of everything that you and Patrick have achieved during this most life-changing of years. We were so delighted when you both committed to the mayoralty. Little did any of us know at that stage what was before us in this year of COVID-19, which of course will become such a significant part of our social history. I know, though, that between lockdowns, you undertook numerous visits around the district to Bishop's Waltham, Alresford, Wickham and Denmead, meeting members of the local community and particularly congratulating those who supported residents with deliveries of food and medicines made within their community during that lockdown period, when colleagues and friends and neighbours were shielding or otherwise unable to leave their homes. What a sense of community we had across the district. I know your visit to the Winchester Night Shelter left an impression on you because you were able to meet with residents and hear their stories and their journeys so far. I know that Patrick, when he helped with the spaghetti bolognese, left a lasting impression on you with his help with that dish that evening. Joy, your commitment to the role of Mayoress, your support of Patrick, your smile and your resilience in an extraordinarily demanding year will leave a lasting impression in keeping with the character we have known, come to know, love and respect. You may recall in my speech last year, I said that friends and family described Joy as an adaptable, organised, approachable and a willing person, always happy to muck in, all skills that proved to be so helpful to Patrick and to the Winchester district throughout his year in office. It is therefore with much pride that I propose we offer our best thanks to our Mayoress, Mrs. Joy Cunningham, for her role alongside Patrick as our Mayor during the last year. Thank you.
Members, please can I now put a motion to the meeting that the best thanks of the council be accorded to Councillor Patrick Cunningham for his service to the council as Mayor during the past year. Members, is that agreed?
Agreed.
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 Thank you, members. Please can I now ask the retiring Mayor of Winchester, Councillor Patrick Cunningham, to now respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Most touching proposer and seconder. I'm lost for words, I have to say. But please, can I now ask that a specially recorded video of the highlights of our narrative here be played?
This week last year, I was afforded the highest honour of my life by being elected as the 821st Mayor of Winchester and the first to carry out my duties partially in person, but mostly in the virtual world of video, Zoom and MS Teams. Like most of you, I had no experience of these media channels before my mayoralty. After a year of trying to get used to it, you may very well say that I am still badly in need of extensive training, and you would be right. Whilst the virtual aspect and the format of the year's engagements have been a constraint, they did have the advantage of keeping my fellow council members at a safe distance, and I did always have the mute button to hand in an emergency. One of the things that I will remember most from the Zoom and MS Teams is the chorus of refrain so often shouted in unison of "You're still muted." Being elected the Mayor of Winchester is a huge honour for anyone, but for me in particular, as an Irishman in his adopted city and the first Irish citizen, it is also an enormous privilege, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. The COVID-19 pandemic, the restrictions and the regulations of the national lockdowns meant the cancellation of most of the annual engagements and sadly all of the grand ceremonial events surrounding the mayoralty this year. It has been a very strange year for us all. As you know, I'm someone who loves to get out and about into the community. I think it's this lack of face-to-face engagements, together with the loss of fundraising for my charities, that has been one of my greatest regrets this year. However, the most rewarding aspect of being mayor in this pandemic year was the honour and the pleasure of meeting and personally thanking so many local COVID-19 heroes throughout the city and district during the summer months. It has been a most humbling experience to see and to hear of the many acts of selflessness and kindness towards our vulnerable and shielding neighbours from so many charities, volunteers, community groups, and of course our NHS and care home heroes. They are the inspiration to us all, an example of community spirit at an exemplary level, and a broad silver lining in an otherwise cloudy sky. They make Winchester the special place it is, a city and a district truly to be proud of. This year, however, has had its moments. I have to admit that it has been fun and challenging to be able to fully embrace today's technology. With the exception of the 4 summer months when we had a small window of attending engagements amongst our residents and community, it did enable me to engage with residents and organisations during the lockdowns. Of special mention was taking the salute as officer inspecting at the passing out parade at Sir John Moore Barracks in August, and latterly visiting the Basics food banks and the community pantries across the city and district. I also rode my luck somewhat by threatening the newly appointed honorary recorder, Her Honour Judge Angela Morris, with a custodial session in the Mayor's stocks. That was done in order to dissuade her from any attempt to purchase Abbey House, I have to say. We have now lost 183 fellow Winchester residents to this pandemic. Each and every one is a terrible tragedy for those concerned, and I extend my deepest condolences to all of the families affected by these untimely deaths. There are, however, hopes and signs in the latest figures for COVID-19, and that the rollout of the vaccination programme by our NHS saved many, many lives. This is something that we should celebrate while we also mourn our losses. Last year, I closed my mayoral acceptance speech with the words, "In a better place, on a better day, and in a better time." Words of hope and desire that we would meet again in better shape after the developing coronavirus pandemic was defeated. We are not there yet. This pandemic is far from over, and so is our journey to defeating it. But each vaccine improvement, each scientific discovery along the way, is a step closer to our community returning to a kind of normality that we would come to recognize. Much has been sacrificed by our citizens. So many lives, so many jobs, so many dreams. and yet more may be needed before this pandemic is controlled. But I believe that these developments will, in the end, give humanity the means, perhaps not to totally defeat COVID-19, but certainly to find the solution of how to live and to survive with it. Once again, thank you for the honour that you have bestowed upon me, and as the late Captain Sir Tom Moore said, tomorrow will be a good day.
Thank you, Mayor.
Agenda item number 5, to propose for amongst the members of the council, a person to be the deputy mayor of the city of Winchester the ensuing year. Please can I now call upon Councillor Angela Clear, the proposer of the deputy mayor.
Madam Mayor, good evening, but I'm so sorry, but I am actually the seconder, and I think Councillor Todd is the proposer. So would you mind, Madam Mayor, if I hand it over to Councillor Todd?
Thank you, Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, councillors, distinguished guests, I'm delighted to propose the motion to elect Councillor Derek Green to be the Deputy Mayor of the City of Winchester for the coming year.
Thank you. Please can I now call upon Councillor Angela Clear to second the proposal for Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, councillors, distinguished guests, I am delighted to second the motion to elect Councillor Derek Green as Deputy Mayor for the ensuing municipal year.
Thank you, councillors. And once again, if I can invite you to put your microphones on, please. Green's on screen for us at the moment.
Thank you. Please, I now put the motion to the meeting. The council is very keen elected Deputy Mayor of the City of Winchester for the period commencing on the 18th of May 2001. 21. Thank you. Members, is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you, members.
And members, please note that this decision will also be ratified tomorrow evening, and that the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Derek Green, will then sign his declaration of acceptance of office with me at that meeting. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
That concludes the full business for this evening. May I thank everyone for attending this virtual meeting and send you all the very best wishes. Look forward to seeing you all at tomorrow evening's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.